Something's just not quite right. Nice. Could be a little better though. Sheesh.
It's just you and me.
So a few of you people that have been around on this channel for a while will probably know that I have done a San Holo video before. Went back and looked at it the other day and thought, I could do better than that. San Holo's sound has actually evolved quite a lot since I did that tutorial. He's moved into a very indie slash EDM slash almost rock sort of sound. In this track I've made, it's the sort of new San Holo sound I've sort of gone for. Also, looking back at my old tutorial, I found that I didn't use a single guitar. That's sort of just a crime against humanity. Anyway, let's jump into this tutorial. So we're going for a typical tempo of 150 beats per minute. I started the foundation of this with some guitar strums. As you can see, these guitar strums are not an actual guitar. I've used my trusty Ample Guitar Lite plugin for this nice realistic sounding guitar, and I've also paired that with a strap position A and a strap position B of the FL Studio stock guitar plugin. So I've tried to create some chords that sort of sound San Holo-ish. He's got a really unique sort of way of playing the guitar. I created these strum. Now I made these strums using the strum tool. So we go into tools and then strum, and you'll see I've just got a little bit of strength on there to just create that realistic guitar strum sound. So that has a bit of OTT on it for compression and a little bit of Pluto reverb to just give it a bit more weight to it. Now we're looking at the intro here, and paired with the guitar is a nice little low pass bass. Next, I added a tonal ambience sample. You guys know how much I love to do this. Since it's an intro, I'm having my drop lead sort of filter in a little bit with quite a lot of reverb. That sort of teases the rest of the song and sort of gives your song a nice bit of character in the intro. And the final step of this little intro is to just chuck in a bit of vocal sampling. I have the Baby You OK remix stems, and I just took a nice little Baby You OK sample to make it San Holo-ish. Now that second vocal was one of my own, and I will get into how I made that vocal very soon. And that is essentially our intro, and that'll make up a lot of the verse as well. So I transition into the verse with this little crash sweep. The first part of my verse is just going to be the guitar strums and the vocal. San Holo obviously sings in his songs. I don't think that's a secret. So I thought, if I was to do a new San Holo video, I would have to sing. I don't really rate myself as a singer, but there are a few things that you can do to your vocal to make you sound a little less.
Writing words across the screen. Only I know what they mean. Why am I still writing songs? Only I will know what's wrong.
If I turn all the effects off, it sounds like this.
Writing words across the screen. Only I know what they mean.
So it's mainly just compression. I mean, Sausage Fat and OTT Limiter, they are all compressing it. I manipulated the formant down just to bring the pitch of my voice down a little. I thought it sounded a bit better. And then I've just got reverb sort of automating and EQing out some bad frequencies. Obviously this is not my original voice, it is corrected. I'm not even sure if I have the vocal in here. So I'm going to straight up just expose myself here. You're going to hear my singing voice. And I just want to demonstrate how to make you sound decent.
Writing words across the screen. Only I know what they mean. If you told me I was right.
That is me singing. Lovely, lovely voice. But I want that to be better. Click this little thing here and we go pitch correct sample. And that's going to take us to this lovely little thing called new tone. So what we want to do with this is basically just play around with these couple knobs here. If you pull the center, you're going to see that these notes are moving into the middle more. If you pull the variation, it's going to increase the variation or it's going to decrease the variation. That's how we sort of get that auto-tuned voice sound. So basically you want to just pull these together as much as you want, but if you just want to go straight auto-tune, just pull the variation down and pull the center up and you'll get a perfectly on-pitch singing voice. So another thing I added in this little quiet section of the verse are these little plucks. Now these plucks are just a sample from Cymatics. They come in this new Apex One Shots Volume 3 pack that was just released the other month. Honestly, the sounds in this pack are so good. That's the one I used. I've literally just chucked this into my sampler and just put a bit of OTT compression on it, and that's all I had to do, and I get this absolutely beautiful little detail to your song. Apex One Shots Volume 3 is just full of this stuff. It's an absolute gold mine. If you're stuck for a sound, just go through this pack and I guarantee you will find something you like. After we've finished our little quiet section, we go into a louder, more full part of the verse. And so I have my guitar strums and my bass, and I bring back my little guitar loop, basically bring back all the intro elements, and I add this little drum pattern that has kick, a snare, and a shaker. And of course the acapella is carrying a lot of the load here. The vocal has to be sort of stand out of the verse, but altogether they are just fitting nicely and just bouncing off each other. Okay, now this is where we come back to our EDM roots, and we're going to need to create a build up. This is super simple. I've still got my guitar strums, still got my bass, my guitar loop, my vocal, and this is sort of singing a chorus.
It's just you and me. It's just you and me. It's just you and me.
Got my drop lead filtering in. Right at the end of the build up, I do this cool little cut off with the filter. We opened up and then we just cut back and then we open up again, and it creates this cool little sort of swell right before the drums and the bass and the lead fully opens up into the drop. I have some snares filtering in with an EQ filter, a low pass filter. I have a few little kicks in there, and then just some white noise sort of riser effects to build a little bit of tension as you do in your build-ups. Okay, so I think I'll start by looking at the drums in this section. Firstly, we want a nice little tight, punchy little kick. Just likes to have that little thump. I went for a sort of more acoustic sounding snare. They either have a trap drum or they have a sort of acoustic sounding drum. So I've gone the acoustic way here. I added some trap hi-hats in here. This is where his sort of trap roots sort of shine through in the sort of indie EDM he's creating. And I added like a cymbal exhaust, white noise sort of thing, and some shakers. Okay, so next up is the bass. Now there's sort of two ways that I think San Holo is sort of using his basses at the moment. I've noticed on a lot of his recent songs he's been using an actual bass guitar. Alternatively, he uses 808s, those classic big beefy 808s. For this track, I went the route of the bass guitar. Now, I don't have a bass guitar, so what I did here with the MIDI is sort of made it like you were plucking a bass. So like bum, 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 bum. That's sort of how you play a bass. With my serum sounds that are trying to imitate a real bass, they sort of sound a bit more realistic. Now I layered all those up with different types of generated basses, the Ibanez and the Temptated. They both come from the Instruments bass pack of the free FL Studio instruments. So what I tried to do here was imitate how a bass player might play a riff. So playing the A and then flicking up to the E maybe on the highest string and down to the D sharp and then back down to a B and then sliding up to an A and then going down to an E and following that sort of progression. So taking a bit of like creative liberties in what notes you choose to hit. When you find the right balance of playing the chord progression and then hitting these nice little extra notes, you get this cool realistic sounding sort of bass line. On the post-processing side of most of these basses, I just added a little bit of grainy overdrive distortion. And then in the bass master channel, I'm just fattening that up, sausage fattener OTT. The next step was to create a nice big melodic lead. Now what I wanted to try and create is a sort of guitar focused lead. So I've split that up into sort of three sections. The first is the guitar. I tried to create this melody as though you could play it on the guitar. The second part is the Pluck Bright from the Apex One Shots pack. And the third part is another sample from the Apex pack. So that's a nice little San Holo sort of style pluck like we used in the intro. On the post-processing side, I have them all routed to a lead master bus. I have a little bit of chorus on from Serum FX, compression again. This is quite a big reverb. This is a 3-second long reverb. Makes it quite difficult to mix, but you know, who's actually good at mixing these days, man? Not me. I've made that nice and wide, and then I've also put this fruity Panamanic on, and that is bouncing the sound left to right, and it's sort of, you know, creating a wave. To thicken up the mix a bit, I have these guitar strums in here. This again is a MIDI pattern. I've cut this up into different sections, as you can see here, to imitate the strumming of a guitar. I sort of imagined myself how I would play this pattern. Down, down, up, up, down, down, up, down. I mean, this would be so much easier if I just pulled out my guitar and recorded it. But you know, why make life easy, you know? Do it the hard way. Do it the way that makes no sense. And the last thing I have in my drop is the tonal ambience again. I also created a little break, which is essentially just repeating the build up, and I did this so I could have another drop, but in this drop, slow down the drums. In this section, I keep everything the same except the speed of the snares, and I change the kick pattern up It's just a slight amount just to give it a better flow. So that is essentially what goes into a San Holo song. Yes, I have included guitars today. That makes my tutorial somewhat more credible. However, I have not used a single real guitar loop that I played myself, so I mean that just eliminates all credibility of this tutorial. So I don't know why the hell you would even listen to me, but here, I hope you enjoy my San Holo track. It was a lot of fun to make, and I can't wait for the new album.
Writing words across the screen. Only I know what they mean. Why am I still writing songs? Only I will know what's wrong. If you told me I was right, I wouldn't put up a fight. I would make a place for you and me. Oh, you see, oh, you see, it's just you and me. It's just you and me. It's just you and me. Oh, you see, it's just you and me. It's just you and me. It's just you and me. Oh, you see, it's just you and me. It's just you and me. It's just you. It's just you and me. It's just you and me. Oh, you see, it's just you and me.